Great to have you with us. And in our first story, the Electoral Commission will now admit only 150 people at a registration center under a queue management system designed to address overcrowding. This is, however, taking place here in the Greater Accra region alone. The latest decision by the Electoral Commission comes on the back of mounting pressure on the electoral body to suspend the ongoing exercise as Ghana's coronavirus case count surges. But the EC has made it clear suspending the voter registration exercise now is not an option on the table. The Commission says any move to do so will create a serious constitutional problem. Maxwell Agbagba has been speaking to the registration officer at the Abosi Okai Methodist Church on how they are implementing the queue management system.
Yesterday, we didn't do it because we met the numbers yesterday. But the advice was that as of today, if at center, when you look at the strength, if you can do 120 or maybe 150, then you group them in groups of 3. So maybe if it's 120, we have 40, 40, 40. So the first 40, we allow them to be closer to the center so that if for 4 hours we can handle the 40, we let them stay. Then the next 40, they are told to come, let's say from 10 a.m. or 11 a.m., depending on the time we give them. So that is what we have started today. Okay. So ideally, we have started with the first batch that we will be handling this morning. The next set have been told. Some have left, others are just hanging around, but most of them have left, and we have the ones that will be handling now.
So you gave them numbers, or what did you do?
Yes, we gave them numbers. We have printed out numbers. If you can, I can pick a few and show you those who just came in the morning. We printed out numbers for them. So when they come with the numbers, and we know this is the number we are working with.
I was asking the other registration officer, and he's saying that because there are a lot of guarantors around, they are the ones making this place look crowded, although you've implemented.
Yes, the guarantors who are really, we need 2. So some of them will be in the queue. Then when it gets to their 10, we advise that the guarantors stay out. So when it's getting to your 10, then you call them to come in. But some of them do not want to go far. So because when they get in and you tell them where's a guarantor, he will tell you he's in the house, he's in the house. So we tell them to stay around, to just hang around. And so the guarantors are really making the numbers quite huge. But the new registrants are just a few.
Now, persons alleged to have assaulted NPP agents at a registration center in the Akan constituency and others suspected to be non-Ghanaians in the process of getting registered for the December polls have been admitted to bail after they were arraigned before the District Magistrates Court at KJB on Monday. 2 of the suspects connected to the assault case have been admitted to a bail amount of 10,000 Ghana cedis, only with 2 sureties. Correspondent Peter Senu has more.
4 other individuals are also on bail on suspicion that they are not Ghanaians. Immigration officials on duty at the Tabotoji Registration Center are said to have pulled them out of the queue on suspicion that they are not Ghanaians, according to the facts presented to the court. The suspects were picked up on Friday and Saturday, respectively, but were kept beyond the mandatory 48 hours, which the court reminded the prosecutors of Supreme Court's decision to arraign for sittings even on Saturdays in such matters. Wives of 2 of the young men came visiting after the 4th day. They said they have missed their husbands. The suspects have been admitted to 1,000 Ghana cedi bail term and passport-sized pictures submitted to the courts. Victor Kwajogan Adaudu is the counsel for the suspects. He has been speaking to JoyNews.
So as a duty and as a son of the soil, it is my duty to also make sure that my people register and also go around. So it was in the course of it that it came to my attention that some of the people within our community, especially the Ewes who live here, there had been suspicion that some of them are Togolese. And they've been pulled out of the queues that they cannot register without even asking them their citizenship, proof of citizenship or anything. And I think some were arrested on Friday by the immigration who pulled them out of the queue from Tabon Toji. And I think that is why from Friday till today, I deemed it necessary to come that. And from their own fact, it is just a suspicion It is not that they saw them crossing border or they live in Togo. They live in Ghana. Everybody knows them within the communities, and I thought it was something that the court has also agreed with me to graciously grant them bail for us to come back.
So you think the immigration officers erred in judgment?
I think that they should have exercised some restraint and go a little bit extra mile so that they could ask from the community whether they know them and they live within the community.
He thinks those who have not lived very close to border communities would often get identity issues twisted.
You could see that we don't have a dedicated barrier or a wall that divide Ghana and Togo. So you find in the same town, one of the towns you find, we have two chiefs. One chief lives at the side of Togo, but the one chief lives at the side of Ghana. And they are the same king and king. And I think that one of the good things that should open our eyes is the porous borders that the documentary Joy FM did, the multimedia did sometime. You could see in a town, the border is in the middle of the town. How do you do this? I believe that is why when we have our Ghana card, we have passport, we have all those, you can identify. But if people who have ordinary station in life, how would they acquire all this? It's a gradual process.
Peter Senu for JoyNews.
Now at the Zongo DA experimental JHS1 in the Techiman South constituency of the Bono East region, registration started at 7:15 a.m. today. And as at 8:09 a.m., 19 people had been registered with all COVID-19 safety protocols observed. There's also a massive improvement with the adherence to the social distancing protocols, which remain an issue in most areas since day one of the exercise.
The Bono region so far has 38 confirmed COVID-19 cases, with Banda recording its first case, sparking some level of awareness of the existence of the virus, receiving items including 57 thermometer guns, 25,000 pieces of face masks, and 2,500 pieces of hand sanitizers to support religious groups. Pastor Lord Nkrumah, Church of Pentecost, Banda said as a responsible institution, they have key roles to play if the fight against the spread of the virus is to be won.
Strictly, we abide by all the protocols that the president and the religious and affairs ministers has lined. The church is actually a place where people can receive hope. I know at the individual level we have been praying. As we come together, that corporate prayer will be able to help. Apart from that, members also listen and obey their church leaders. So having the opportunity to meet together in the church, to fellowship, and the church leadership coming in to add their voice for members to actually practice all the safety protocols. I believe that members will receive the news and they will commit themselves to practicing all the safety protocols.
Banda District Health Director Simon Adams expressed worry over the delay in getting results of samples. He, however, said the people must abide by the safety protocols to avoid the spread whilst they wait for the contact tracing results.
I don't know whether it was the making of the lab or because they have a lot of samples to deal with. It took 3 weeks before we had the results. So these results came as positive. But what we did was also to do some contact tracing. We've taken 31 samples from individuals, and still results are still pending. This is very challenging. Most people, I don't know, because the district has recorded the case, and still people, they don't take the disease serious or whatever. So people still don't adhere to the safety protocols. Yes, for that one I must be frank. We want the police and the security agencies to come in to enforce the safety protocols.
MP for Banda, Ahmed Ibrahim, told JoyNews after presenting the items to support the work of the religious groups that the government must end the self-praising posture because the reality on the ground indicates the management of the virus in Ghana is seriously challenged.
The length of time it takes for a case to be tested either positive or negative is too long. But earlier then you could hear the government saying, oh, we are doing well, we are doing testing, it's like they were celebrating mediocrity in terms of fighting against COVID-19. And that is why we are at where we are. And it's the more reason why we are telling government, let's leave the PRO work. You see, pragmatism is the key and is the way to go. But the way we were managing, we were showering praises on government instead of fighting COVID-19. The reality is now catching up with us, and that is why we are at where we are. So when VIPs are now exiting, are now falling, now the seriousness of the situation has come to bear. And that's the more reason why I'm helping to protect my people.
For Joy News, Precious Semevo, Banda.
Now, the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, is worried there is some level of laxity in respect for the COVID-19 health and safety protocols, particularly the lack of social distancing at some registration centers observed. Accordingly, CODEO calls on the Electoral Commission to consider additional mechanisms for enhancing the effectiveness of the respect for health and safety protocols at all registration centers at all times. The EC must intensify public awareness about the movement's plan of registration teams to enhance public awareness and understanding about the mode of registration exercise so that people do not continue to gather at registration centers when they do not have to do so. Albert Ahin is coordinator for CODEO and he joins us. Mr. Ahin, thanks for your time. Shed some more light on these recommendations that you made. In the conclusions of the CODEO report, you said that generally there's a concern about the lack of respect, if I can use that expression, for the COVID-19 protocols. Explain that a bit more for us. Unfortunately, we seem to have lost that connection with Albert Ahin. We are re-establishing the connection, but let me take you through a few of the recommendations or the conclusions that CODEO has observed. They said that the reported changes to movement plans has also caused some challenges. Mr. Ahin has rejoined us on the line, I understand. Albert Ahin, thanks for joining us. Unfortunately, the phone line seemed to have failed us this morning. Let me just take you through a couple of the conclusions that CODEO reached. They said that with the security personnel, while the security personnel have been able to bring a number of violent and chaotic situations under control, CODEO entreats the police service to swiftly prosecute any persons who violate electoral laws to serve as an early deterrent to others. Also, the practice of party agents collecting voter information on newly issued voter ID cards after a person has registered should stop, as there are other mechanisms for political parties to collect information about the registration process. CODEO observers also reported of changes to the movement's plans in various parts of the country. CODEO entreats the EC to keep the public adequately informed of all such changes to the movement's plan so that eligible persons can adequately prepare to take part in the subsequent phases of the exercise. But the key part was really about the level of laxity in respect for COVID-19 protocols. Albert Ahin is with us. Now, Mr. Ahin, this was reported during the week that there is a laxity in observing COVID-19 protocols. But what's the solution?
Yes, I think the solution is what I hear the EC has even started doing. We are told, I've not been there to see it myself, but we have been told, for example, that the EC has started giving numbers to people in the various queues so as to control the movement and the spacing. A lot of the polling stations are quite spacious. They are spacious enough to allow for COVID protocols to be implemented. But the people are not doing that. So I'm told the EC is now giving out numbers. For example, if there are about, say, 60 people in the queue, they will, at a point in time, give about 20 people numbers and space them. Then the rest will be asked to go and stay somewhere, or maybe even behind the station, and then we'll call in as the others finish and go away, like they have been doing at the banks. If you visit any of these commercial banks, for example, you see that not everybody is allowed to go in at the same time.
Right.
Your temperature is taken, you wash your hands, and then you go in. I believe 5 people, 10 people at a go. I think that should be working. I've seen it work in a lot of places that I have visited. So if maybe the EC can, with the help of the police, they can do this I'm sure we'll be getting somewhere. Because that is the only red flag that we are seeing of late.
Now, Mr. Ahin, there was another complaint that the process itself is a bit slow. So that if we are going to apply this, does it not mean that we may not be able to cover as many people at the end of the period?
The EC itself said, for example, that they were going to register between 80 and 100 people from the word go. And they have actually exceeded that, even with all these difficulties. You visit some centers and you have about 120, 130, sometimes 170 registered. You see, so, and we also said, I think I've said it in one of the stations, that they should educate the people so that when they are going, they can write their names, the father's name, the mother's name, and any other particulars that are going to be needed. So that as soon as they get there, they hand it over to the clerk who is writing the name. Then it will speed up the process. You see, if we can do this, and then space, let people go in 10 at a time or maybe 5 at a time, I think we should be able to do what we really want to do to achieve the same purpose. And it's better to delay than to catch the COVID.
What do you make of the Electoral Commission's position that halting the current ongoing process cannot be an option, and that that would mean that we'll have a constitutional crisis? You have experience with working with the EC. Would you agree with this position?
Well, if they were to do halting, I don't think that is the right thing to do now. Kodil, for example, was saying from the word go that they could use the old register. Then maybe with the arrival of the materials and the BVDs after the election, they can now take their time and do the registration. But now this wasn't done. We are in the registration already. I don't think that we will stop and then, go back to the old register. I think we should rather make sure that we stick our necks out, obey the protocols, do with it once and for all. I don't think we need to step back. Once we've entered into the whole process, it will be a waste of money and nothing.
Even if it costs human lives?
With human lives, that of course the doctors have already mentioned it. The doctors have mentioned that with the way people are behaving, and I agree with them. If we should continue the way it is going with people not obeying the COVID protocols, then we are in for trouble. But if we should go back and do things in the right way, in the right manner, observing the protocols. And I was telling you that most of the centers have spatial, compounds. The space is there. So it's a question of just applying the rules and regulations pertaining to the game.
Right.
And that should be it.
Mr. Ahin, thank you very much for joining us this morning. He is the coordinator for the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO.